All right, it's time now for our top calls, and we want to put a special focus on the media sector, particularly Comcast and its plans to spin off NBC, Universal, and Sky into a separate company, ending its long run as a telecom media giant. Joining us right now is David Joyce, senior analyst over at Seaport Research Partners. A bit of a reversal in strategy, though not necessarily a surprise, or was it a surprise to you, David?
Well, it's a surprise in that they spent a little bit more than a year to spin off just a portion of the NBC Universal assets into Versant Media. That just was completed at the beginning of this year. So people are going to say, why didn't they do all of this at once? But be that as it may, I think there is logic to having two kind of pure plays, one on the content side, one on the distribution. I think as long as they know what their strategy is, they can have a cleaner, more flexible path to various types of partnerships in their respective industries.
When it comes to the content side, though, I am curious about what the value of that is as a standalone without the distribution attached to it.
Well, I think that you can really look to like the average of what the cash flows are from NBC Universal, because they do have big years like this when they've got the Super Bowl and the Olympics and political advertising, and then there might be light years off those cycles. But you also have some some variability in their cash flows from Universal Studios, mostly on the film side, but somewhat on TV. So there is some volatility here, but there is a library of content. There are a lot of valuable TV station assets, and these are still key ways that people see their NFL games, for example. And there's a lot of consumer and fan engagement with the Bravo network and some of the properties there. So there's a lot of brands that people can really engage with that do create value on the content side.
I'd love to talk a little bit about what this means for Comcast's path forward, particularly when it comes to their M&A strategy, because it's been reported that, they had put in an offer for Warner Brothers Discovery last year. Some folks are seeing this as sort of a precursor to maybe them going out and pursuing other deals. I wonder where you fall on that.
It is interesting that late in 2024, when they announced they were spinning off Versant Media, that really precipitated a wave of speculation of what the industry consolidation was going to look like. That turned into Warner Brothers Discovery doing its own separation process that turned into that bidding war, and Comcast was involved, as you noted. But now we have, I think, a concept of the Comcast and NBC Universal each on their own being an acquirer or a target. And I say target because you do have the new variable of SpaceX having a public equity that could be used if they wanted to have some more terrestrial grounding for the Starlink asset, for example. There was news that in the past week, a peer of Comcast's, Charter Communications, possibly was in discussions, operational discussions with Starlink. So I think that there's just a wide open array of directions these can head in, and that's why you saw a lot of positive activity in the space today. Yes, Comcast could be an acquirer of more cable assets. I don't think there's any reason why they shouldn't be allowed to, because they're competing against companies that have full coverage of the U.S.
Well, I'd love to hear what you think is more likely. You say they could be either the target or the acquirer, but do you lean in either direction?
I think Comcast is going to be more of an acquirer. I think there's more telecom-related assets that they could be interested in that provide managed services to businesses. They did a small acquisition of a company called Nitel last year, so that's one area they could go in where they still have a small share, but they've been growing that well. Data centers definitely are of interest. I think not necessarily from their own capital expenditures plan of building them, but providing connectivity to them if in case they get full contracts with the internet platform companies, for example, that want dedicated data centers. So I think that they're more likely to be an acquirer.
All right, David, really appreciate your time. That is David Joyce of Seaport Research Partners.